Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. I'm Gerald, and I would like to thank you for joining me today for this webinar together about our Parallel Service Provider Program, or how we call it, our PSP. I hope you're all doing well. We're going to spend the next 30 minutes together going over our remote application server solution for MSPs and ISVs. The idea of this webinar today is to introduce you of how the solution will work from an MSP and ISV perspective, how our licenses will work. For those who are interested, after this session, there will be team members who will be getting in contact with you to understand if there's any feedback, any queries, maybe you want a demo on the product, or if you have something in particular, how we can help you. I would expect that the team will be in touch probably later on this week or early next week. However, at the end of the session today, we're going to have an FAQ session at the end. So if you have any questions, please feel free to post them on the chatter of WebEx, and we can start. So when we introduced the Parallel Service Provider program around 3 years ago, we've started seeing a different direction of the business, where a lot more users wanted to have their bring your own device strategies in place, or sometimes even CYOD strategies, where they want to choose their preferred device. We've seen a huge increase in the request to lower your cost from an IT support perspective, and that's also reflects from a lower cost from an infrastructure side of things, which predominantly it's reflected in higher maintenance costs, support costs, etc. But also to address security issues, even because of, for example, because of GDPR. We've seen a huge boom of customers who want to look at a different way how to deliver applications and desktop to their users. And because of this, we've seen a huge market increase when it comes to the adoption of the cloud. We believe around 1.3 trillion will be done in IT spending by 2022. Obviously, when Gartner did this report, they never thought about what's happening with COVID, because obviously I'm sure that the figures exploded in the last couple of months. 45% of the enterprises already choose to have a hybrid cloud, or actually even a multi-cloud. We're going to go over it together later on. According to Spiceworks, 20% of the IT budget is already allocated to managed services, and this figure is for those organizations between 500 to a little bit less than 1,000 employees. So for those who never met Parallels before, or actually Remote Application Server, so Remote Application Server came in place in the year 2005. It got acquired by Parallels in 2015. Since then, Parallels started investing quite a lot on the technology. So even from an R&D perspective, we increased our feature set, our functionalities. Even from a commercial standpoint, we included a subscription model as by consumption, which we call the SPLA model, just to help even those MSPs and ISVs who are adopting, different type of strategies, going away from the on-prem setup. And since 2016, Parallels was listed as a major player in the virtual desktop market, just behind the Citrix, VMware, Microsoft, and Amazon market, which for us, it's a nice position. We are a company which is growing literally on a day-to-day basis. Our features, as I mentioned, even when you see our new builds and so on, are increasing with a lot of functionalities in a very simple license, which is basically one license which covers all the components of Parallels Remote Application Server. Obviously, with Remote Application Server and the new market, how it's evolving, we've seen a couple of aspects. For example, we want applications on the go. You're having cafe, you want to check work applications, you go from your phone, from your tablet, from your laptop, wherever you go. Obviously, we're going away also from having local data centers. There is Azure, AWS, thousands of other data centers which are offering cloud services, with the idea that we have an increased productivity, so wherever we are, an improved service delivery, while obviously lowering the cost and mitigating the risks, because we don't have to take care of what's happening in at the back end of your setup. And that's what we wanted to do with Remote Application Server. So basically, we wanted to achieve this transformation with 4 key criteria: product with a high value, very simple, extremely secure, and cost effective. Obviously, these 4 criteria aren't so easy, to reach. Typically, the inhibitors, even when you speak with MSPs and ISVs, are always the same 5 aspects. First of all, the reduced IT budget. So basically, the complexity increased, exploded. It's not only delivering to Windows, occasionally to Mac. Now the platforms are literally everything: Android, iOS, Linux, Mac, Windows. So it's much more complex. Users aren't just sitting in an office. Users are now working from home. They're traveling when obviously the time is right. So they want to make sure that the applications and desktops are always available to them. Obviously, all of this increase security issues, because now it's not users are working from your LAN, they're working from mobile devices, which sometimes these applications are not built to work on these devices. And that's obviously a problem. Most of the applications that we meet typically are driven either for Windows or for Mac. But we work with a number of customers that most of their devices are, for example, Chromebooks or Android or iOS. And obviously, in that order, to get the solution fixed, the application fixed, there's a significant long deployment time to write the existing software. A major inhibitor is also the poor user and the client experience. Because even if you just get a Windows application and somehow you manage to deliver it on an Android or an iOS, you want to make sure that the user experience is like they're working locally. And that's what we're trying to do with Remote Application Server. So if you're delivering applications, if you're offering workspaces, desktop as a service, we provide you with web access or any device with different clients very securely and obviously at a reduced TCO. And this is very, very important for us. So with our service provider program, we're focusing totally on MSPs and ISVs. Even from a customer value perspective, you're providing end user services in a very, very simple way. We can have a customer, for example, we've seen a huge increase in consumption, for example, over the last 2 months. Users want to increase their utilization. It's a question of very few seconds, literally, to add more users to that. From a user experience, I'm going to mention the different clients and our user experience. It's extremely simple. It's very intuitive. A user wouldn't even realize that he's working from a remote application server solution. From a management perspective, there's a number of tools like multi-tenancy, tools for automation, auto-provisioning, auto-scaling, the multi-cloud element, hyper-converged ready, and hypervisor agnostic. Literally, with the idea is that even you're helping you create and increase your MRR, your monthly recurring revenue. Basically, it's a solution which comes at no commitment at all. It helps you reduce your cost down and obviously provide more services to your users. So being an MSP, where, for example, you want to find new customers or sometimes even compete with other competitors, because we've seen a huge increase in the MSP element lately as well. I would say over the last 2 years, providing a solution which will make you beat your competition. Even if you're, for example, coming from a competitive product, you can easily save between 40 to 60% on a monthly basis with our SPLA license program. And obviously, very important, there is no barriers at all there, so there is no commitment or anything of that sort. If you're an ISV, we're helping you to move to the cloud, to start offering that SaaS model for your customers. So even those legacy software, and for the record, we still support up to Windows Server 2008, you can deliver them as a service to your customers. And you don't have to worry about the mobile offerings there, if it's going to work on Android or iOS, because we will take care of that. So even those situations where you are fighting, for example, in BYOD strategies, you can get your Windows application, you're delivering from your cloud, from Azure, for AWS, any other data center, in your own data center, it doesn't matter. And you start offering a service directly to your customers. And you create a new revenue stream for them, even from those existing perpetual clients of yours. So if we had to summarize a little bit, with the MSP program, we're providing a high client demand, which is something quite important at the moment, which will help you generate new revenue at higher profits. From a product perspective, those who has some experience on remote application server, they realize you can literally be up and running in maybe less than an hour, literally. So it even help you retain clients and obviously find new clients, because we know, as I mentioned before, new MSPs are coming. When you're an ISV, you've seen a lot of competition from cloud-based competitors. You're providing an alternative in a question of seconds without any commitment at all. So no barriers, no prepayment, anything of that sort. So if we had to look a little bit at our service provider program, it's built around three main concepts: the high value, as I mentioned before, the cost element, because we want to keep that TCO very low, and the comprehensive partner program and support, because for us, it's very important that it's not just you offering a service to your customers, but we're in a partnership together. If there is a failure, we are failing as well with you. So let's go into a little bit around the remote application server aspect. So for those who never had the opportunity to work on Parallels remote application server before, so it's one license purely based on a concurrent user model. You can do application publishing or desktop publishing. So from our DSH, you can do VDI. We give you clients for Windows, Mac, Linux, Raspberry Pi, Chromebook, Android, iOS. There's a multi-tenancy architecture, high availability, and load balancing and reporting and billing. So everything with a concurrent user license model. Everything managed in a very simple way. So basically, even here, you have a single pane of glass, everything centrally management. You don't need any special skills or training. Product is very, very easy to install. As I mentioned before, it's a question literally of minutes, just 130 meg download from our website. There's auto provisioning tools, auto scaling tools for DSH and VDI. We're hypervisor agnostic, so we provide that element of flexibility to work basically from wherever you want. And I'm seeing also some questions coming in. The solution can be installed on-prem, on any public cloud, on a multi-cloud, or in a hybrid way. As Parallels, we don't have our cloud, our own cloud, because it would be competing with our partners there. We're giving the flexibility to the partners literally to choose their own data center from where they want to publish. So being in their own data center, maybe they want to go in Azure, doesn't matter. It's the same license for us. From a delivery perspective, very important, there's two delivery aspects, as I mentioned before. When there's clients for Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS, but also HTML5, where you can actually white label your HTML5. So it comes with your logos, because you're actually offering a service. And best-in-class mobile user experience is something which I'm really proud of. I have a slide on this, and we can go into more detail there. From a security perspective, obviously we support MFA. There's multiple security features there. Our universal printing and scanning, very, very mature since 2005 when we launched our first version of application server. We took a strategy that any printer that didn't work, even at POC stage, we fixed it. So it's very, very important for us. REST and PowerShell APIs, the multi-tenancy as I mentioned before, and ultra-fast login and SAML single sign-on. These features here that I mentioned now are actually built in our latest build, which was focused for MSPs and ISVs. So we also include an element of AI for the ultra-fast login. For example, for the customers in UK, it was something very important from an NHS perspective, because this was one of the prerogative for them to have faster logins. We deployed an AI system there to understand and analyze how the users will actually work on the solution. Obviously, from a TCO perspective, I don't think we have any competition here. I have to admit that. So in our SPLA license model, there is 24/7 support and maintenance included in the license. There's a high availability and load balancer for front-end and gateways, centralized monitoring, reporting, and billing. All the SPLA licensing is totally automated, so it's not something that you have to do anything manual. And there's an element of sub-licensing management as well. We're going to see it very soon, how it works. So with remote application server, we're guiding you to the cloud. So if you want to go on your private cloud on-prem, you can do. If you want to go on a public cloud deployment, hybrid, or hyper-converged deployment, it doesn't matter. We're giving you the flexibility to literally move to according to your business needs. Maybe now it's right for you to go on your private cloud. Maybe in a couple of months' time or a couple of years, you say, listen, I should adopt the cloud or even a multi-cloud option for more business continuity. From a remote application server, that's not a problem at all. It's the same license. It doesn't vary from us if you're working on-prem or on the cloud. So, as I mentioned before, something which I'm really proud of is our superior user experience. So first of all, as I mentioned before, we have the clients and we have the HTML5. What I'm proud of is our mobile clients, which are really best in the market out there. We make use of native gestures, quick keypads, drag and drop. The idea is literally that user experience is as you're working on a local machine. So for example, if you're using an iOS or Android and you want to zoom in, same features and functionalities are also available when using the remote application server client. So literally, the user doesn't need any training or any expertise at all, even to start working there. From a data security perspective, we all know that one of the taboos when it comes to cloud is always the security. Until some years ago, we were always afraid, but I don't have the data. I'm not managing it. I'm not monitoring it. I don't know what's happening. And that's what we wanted to avoid with remote application server. So first of all, we are centralizing all the data for you. So even end user data, you can back it up, manage it according to your needs. You can monitor, control, and restrict data access as needed. Our solution is super strong when it comes to client policies, and we go into granularity, which is beyond imagination. Basically, whatever you want to do with remote application server, you can do it via our policies, encryption protocols, and MFA and smart card authentication. When it comes to IT agility and business readiness, so our solution, as I mentioned before, is focused to provide that business continuity and high availability. So if you want to have a multi-cloud situation where you have sort of even more business continuity from a backend perspective, from an application side of things, we have our high availability and load balancer, even for gateways and publishing agents, literally to focus on that business continuity needed for your customers. So with remote application server, the idea is literally it's a one-stop solution for all your RDS and VDI needs. You can mix and match different operating systems and technologies. So I mentioned before, we still support up till Windows Server 2008. So you can have a mix of 2008, 12, 16, 19, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're using Hyper-V, ESXi, Citrix Server, KVM, Nutanix, Acropolis, it doesn't matter at all. If you want to go on, have a VM on Azure, a VM on AWS, a VM on-prem, it doesn't matter. Basically, we're giving you that flexibility according to your business needs. So whatever you decide to go, remote application server will help you there. From a management perspective, our solution was built to be very simple. So as I mentioned before, it's 130 meg download from the internet, one console, all the components installed automatically for you. Everything is just a plus of a button away. If you want to publish applications, you press the plus button, it creates an inventory of all the applications on your remote desktop servers. You just choose which users to get access to that, and you're ready to go. We bundle it up with a number of functionalities like multi-tenancy, REST and PowerShell APIs, auto-provisioning and auto-scaling tools, literally. So even from an admin perspective, you don't have to worry because it's something very, very simple, basically, at the end. And all of this is done while we're reducing the TCO. So even when we compare with competition, so we're reducing the licensing cost. Very importantly, from a remote application server and the parallel side of things, there's no add-ons at all. So even the things that I mentioned now, I'm not going to tell you, but this is an extra feature. This is an add-on that you have to buy. It's not the case. Whatever we discussed, it's all in one license model, which is purely based on a concurrent user model, with the idea to reduce complexity as well. So it's very important that the user experience, but it shouldn't be an overkill on the administrators, because the more users you have, obviously it will reflect in a higher complexity for the admins. We want to keep that as simple as possible, and that's very, very important. So our licensing model. So as I mentioned before, for service providers, we have our SPLA licensing model, which is purely based for ISVs and service providers who are offering a service And every service provider will be given one SPLA key, one license key. How it works, basically we will consider the peak concurrent usage from every individual farm for a month, and we will aggregate them together. At the end of the month, we will check all the consumption together, and we will bill you accordingly. So everything is totally automated. As a service provider, you'll be given Parallel is my account, where basically it's my account which you provide to all our customers, but for service providers, it's a little bit more particular, and it gives you all visibility of how the key is actually working. A good thing to mention is that even this plugin can be activated on different farms. And through the My Account, you can find individually the individual usage, how it will actually work. Obviously, even when you see at the demo, you can see the differences, the farm name. So you can, for example, create a farm for every customer. It gives you a good visibility of the usage and the daily usage of every farm, even from a historical perspective. And that, on the other way around, gives you good visibility of the expected growth as well from a business perspective. So we're up to summarize a little bit now. So with Remote Application Server, all REST features that we mentioned today, application publishing, desktop publishing, VDI, something which we didn't mention, and it was a huge success, although we've implemented it some 15 years ago now, Remote PC, where with Remote Application Server, you can literally access your work PC, for example, without just pushing an agent there. So it's very simple. All clients, so Windows, Mac, Linux, Android, iOS, HTML5, delivery, high availability and load balancer, reporting, all in the same license, purely based on a concurrent user model. Monthly billing is based on actual peak concurrent usage for all clients. There's always 24/7 support and maintenance included there. There is no commitment at all. And we have a tier priced model. So basically, the more users you have in total, the lower cost you're going to get. So even for those MSPs who are looking to start offering the service, they can start at no commitment, and then they can grow, and the more users they have, the lower cost they're going to get. Very simple. So what's next? To become a parallel service provider is very simple. There is no upfront costs to join, no minimum usage commitments. What you need to go, you have to go on our website, apply to become a PSP. You need to have a current membership with the Microsoft Plus ESP program. If you don't have it, you have to let us know so we can do our own investigations there. You need to have 2 certified engineers, and all the certifications are totally free. We have a partner portal where basically you have access to all our sales, marketing, and training. I repeat that training is totally free, both sales and commercial and technical, so you don't have to worry about that. But it's very important that you get certified as well. And basically, you complete an annual partner profile with us. Obviously, from our side, we're not going just to give you a SPLA license to work, and 24/7 support. We're providing you with a dedicated channel account manager, a scalable solution, which basically is flexible according to your needs, so you can grow as much as you need. Doesn't matter if on cloud, hybrid, on-prem. SPLA license is purely based on usage, so you don't have to worry about anything. No upfront costs, free online training and certification, and we'll also provide you with an authority for internal testing. So, if you need more information, you can send us an email at psp@parallels.com. If you want to register, you can go on the parallels.com website, as I mentioned before. The next coming days, someone from the team will get in contact to see if we can help you in any way. If you have any questions, even now, you can make use of our chat. We'll have a quick Q&A session. Obviously, if you have more questions, please feel free to send me an email as well. Okay. The first question I have is around RDS calls. If they would be a requirement. So with remote application server, remote application server is increasing the functionalities of RDS. So with remote application server and any other technology, RDS calls are always a requirement. So the next question I have is around the NF4 licenses, if they can be used to provide trials to the client. So if you go on our website, you can download the 30-day trial for 50 concurrent users if the customer want to test for a month. The NF4 kit typically is for five users. It would be for a year, but personally, I would prefer that you go for the evaluation because it gives you much more flexibility in terms of the usage as well. The next question I have is around the multi-tenancy console. Looks like it's all the multi-tenancy is happening from remote application server console. So one of the key aspects is that we have one console to manage a solution. So even the multi-tenancy is totally managed from the console itself. Okay, the next question is around the clients. So as I mentioned, we have the different clients. So it's not only Windows and Mac, but also Linux, Android, and iOS. And if you cannot push that client, you can also deliver it to an HTML5. So basically, for example, if you're using Google Chrome or Edge or Firefox or Safari, you can use remote application server delivered there as well. Not sure if there's any other questions. Right, I have another 2 questions. So, okay, the next question is around our high availability and load balancer. If it works only on Xen and VMware, no, it works on Hyper-V, KVM, and Nutanix Acropolis as well. And since version 17.1, we also support HALB even on Azure. Very good. Doesn't team have any further questions? So I'd like to thank you for your time. Please keep well. As I mentioned before, in the coming days, someone from the team will be in touch to see if we can help you in any further way. I wish you a good day. Thanks.